you know that around the world, someone is diagnosed with dementia every 3 seconds? With more than 55 million people currently living with the condition, it's now ranked as the 7th leading cause of death globally. Let us introduce you to Dr. Elaine Matthews, a seasoned geriatric pharmacist with over 3 decades of experience working closely with older adults. Today, she's going to share something that rarely gets discussed in the average doctor's office, yet it could have a profound effect on your memory and cognitive health. What if some of the medications sitting quietly in your medicine cabinet, ones you've trusted for years, could actually be interfering with your ability to think clearly and remember things? Recent studies have uncovered surprising links between commonly prescribed drugs and changes in brain function, particularly in adults over 60. In this video, Dr. Matthews will walk you through 8 types of medications that may influence memory and mental clarity. And just as importantly, she'll help you understand what your options are if you're currently taking any of them. No need to worry. We'll never suggest stopping a medication without guidance from your healthcare provider. But knowing the possible side effects, especially on your brain, could make a world of difference. Before we get started, we'd love to hear from you. Let us know in the comments, where are you tuning in from today? And if you find content like this helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss any of our future health updates designed specifically for seniors. Now let's begin. So what's really going on inside the aging brain? And why do some medications affect older adults more than others? As we grow older, many things about our bodies begin to change, some more noticeable than others. Our joints may creak, our sleep may become lighter, and yes, our memory might not be quite what it used to be. That's not something to be ashamed of. It's something many of us experience. But beneath the surface, deeper changes are taking place, and they directly affect how our bodies respond to medications. You see, as we age, our liver and kidneys, the 2 main organs responsible for processing and clearing medications, start to slow down. This means drugs can stay in the body longer than they did when we were younger. For someone in their 30s or 40s, a pill might be absorbed and eliminated quickly. But for someone in their 60s or 70s, that same pill could linger, building up in the system and amplifying its effects, including unwanted side effects. At the same time, changes are also happening in the brain. The blood-brain barrier, a protective wall that helps shield the brain from harmful substances, becomes thinner and more permeable with age. This allows medications to pass into the brain more easily than before, sometimes in ways the brain isn't prepared to handle. And then there's acetylcholine, a vital brain chemical that acts like a messenger between cells. It plays a key role in learning, focus, and memory. But as we age, our brains naturally produce less of it. That alone can cause occasional forgetfulness. But when medications further reduce acetylcholine levels, the result can be confusion, disorientation, and in some cases, symptoms that mimic dementia. Dr. Carol Evans explains it simply. Think of your brain as a city. Acetylcholine is the electrical grid. It keeps everything running, from traffic lights to communication systems. Now imagine certain medications cutting the power lines. Communication slows. Lights go out. That's what happens in the brain when these signals are disrupted. This is why older adults are more vulnerable to the cognitive side effects of certain medications, even ones they've taken for years without issue. Recognizing these changes early and knowing which medications may be playing a role can be one of the most important steps you take toward preserving clarity, confidence, and independence. In the next section, we'll take a closer look at 8 common types of medications that research has linked to memory problems and what you can do if you or someone you love is taking one of them. Because sometimes, just one small change in your routine could protect years of clear thinking ahead. Now that we understand why the aging brain is more sensitive to medications, let's take a closer look at one of the most commonly used drug types among older adults, sleep aids. They're often recommended with good intentions. After all, sleep becomes more elusive as we age, and a full night's rest can feel like a luxury. But for some, the price of that sleep may be far higher than they realize. Harold, a 69-year-old retired postal worker from Ohio, had always been sharp, attentive, and organized. But over the past year, his daughter noticed something was different. He would repeat stories they had already talked about. He asked the same questions within the same phone call. At first, they both chalked it up to stress or just getting older. But one day, she played back a voicemail he had left the night before, cheerful, detailed, and full of plans. The next morning, Harold had absolutely no memory of ever making the call. It turned out he had been using a popular prescription sleep medication for years, one of the so-called Z drugs like Ambien, Lunesta, or Sonata. These medications are designed to help you fall asleep faster. But what many people don't realize is that they alter the way your brain cycles through sleep. Specifically, they disrupt REM sleep, the stage when your brain processes memories, clears toxins, and files away new information. Dr. Elaine Matthews explains, think of REM sleep as your brain's nightly cleaning crew. It's the time when your mind sorts the events of the day and reinforces learning. When that cycle is interrupted, your brain simply can't organize and store memories the way it should. Over time, that disruption may not only make you feel groggy in the morning, it can also lead to long-term cognitive problems. The British Medical Journal published a study showing that older adults who use Z drugs regularly had a significantly higher risk of memory impairment, disorientation, and even complex sleep behaviors, such as sleepwalking, cooking, or driving without being fully awake. And the scariest part, most users have no memory of doing any of it. So what can you do if you've been relying on sleep aids for months or even years? First, don't panic, and never stop taking a prescribed medication abruptly. Instead, have a calm and honest conversation with your doctor about your concerns. There may be safer options that help you sleep without putting your memory at risk. Dr. Matthews recommends a combination of gentle, evidence-based strategies. Cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, also known as CBTI, has been shown to be incredibly effective in older adults, often more so than medication. Magnesium supplements can help relax the nervous system. Establishing a consistent bedtime routine, reducing screen time before bed, and sipping a warm cup of caffeine-free herbal tea can also promote deeper, more natural sleep. Let me ask you this. Have you or someone you love ever experienced memory lapses while using sleep medications? If so, share your story in the comments. You might help someone else feel less alone and take that first step toward change. And if you're still watching, we truly appreciate your time. Give this video a like if you found it helpful so far, and subscribe if you'd like more insights like this, crafted especially for you or the seniors you care about. Coming up next, a type of allergy medicine that could be quietly interfering with your brain's ability to focus. You may even recognize it from your nightstand. If sleep aids are one part of the puzzle, allergy medications, especially first-generation antihistamines, are another piece that often goes unnoticed. Many older adults use them daily without ever realizing they could be slowly affecting their mental clarity. Irene, a 72-year-old widow from New Mexico, had always taken pride in staying active and independent. She loved gardening, took care of her finances, and kept up with friends at her church group. But over time, something shifted. She began to feel groggy in the mornings, sometimes forgetting what day it was or where she placed simple things like her reading glasses. Her daughter noticed she was repeating herself more and losing track of conversations. Irene blamed it on poor sleep and just getting older. What she didn't realize was that the nighttime pain reliever she'd been taking for years contained diphenhydramine, the active ingredient in Benadryl and many PM sleep products, Dr. Elaine Matthews explains, diphenhydramine is a first-generation antihistamine that crosses into the brain and blocks acetylcholine, a chemical messenger crucial for memory and focus. In aging brains, where acetylcholine is already in decline, this kind of interference can cause significant fogginess, confusion, and over time, a higher risk of cognitive decline. A long-term study published in JAMA Internal Medicine found that seniors who took strong anticholinergic medications like diphenhydramine on a daily basis for more than 3 years had a dramatically increased risk of developing dementia. What's more, the damage tends to be cumulative and often goes unnoticed until memory problems become obvious. But here's the good news. There are safer alternatives that don't carry the same risks. For seasonal allergies, newer generation antihistamines such as loratadine, Claritin, or cetirizine, Zyrtec, work well and are far less likely to affect memory. And if you've been relying on nighttime PM products to help you sleep, talk to your doctor about switching to melatonin or exploring gentle bedtime routines rooted in holistic health, like warm herbal teas, guided breathing exercises, or light stretching before bed. Remember, improving memory isn't just about cutting out harmful medications. It's about building a healthier routine around sleep, movement, and mental clarity. These are the foundations of long-term senior health. And when you start to see your wellness as an interconnected system, you begin to make choices that support your body and your mind together. That's the heart of holistic health. Have you or someone you love ever used Benadryl or a PM product for sleep? What changes have you noticed over time? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear your story. And if you're finding this helpful, give the video a like so we know you're with us. Up next, a class of medications often used to calm anxiety or help with sleep, but which may be doing the exact opposite to your brain's ability to focus. Stay tuned. Some medications don't just affect how we sleep or breathe, but how we move through our most private, everyday moments. One of the most overlooked examples? Bladder control medications. Fred, a 74-year-old retired mechanic from Minnesota, never imagined that his daily urge to find the nearest restroom would one day become the reason he couldn't recognize the face of his own grandson. After months of struggling with overactive bladder symptoms, his doctor prescribed Vesicare, a medication designed to calm the bladder by relaxing the muscles. It worked, at first. Fred no longer worried about long car rides or waking up soaked in the middle of the night. But just 4 months later, something else began to surface. He forgot names, misplaced tools he used every day, and looked confused when family members stopped by. At a birthday dinner, he leaned over and whispered to his wife, "Who's the boy sitting next to me?" The boy was their grandson. Dr. Elaine Matthews wasn't surprised. Medications for overactive bladder are some of the strongest anticholinergic drugs we prescribe, she explains. They work by blocking acetylcholine to quiet the bladder, but that same mechanism can profoundly disrupt memory and thinking, especially in older adults. Yes, in fact, a groundbreaking study from the University of California, San Francisco used MRI scans to examine the brains of seniors who had been taking these medications. The results were striking. Individuals using anticholinergic bladder drugs had physically smaller brains, particularly in areas responsible for memory, language, and attention. They also performed worse on memory and reasoning tests compared to those not on the medications. The symptoms can be subtle at first: difficulty concentrating, losing your train of thought, or needing to reread the same sentence over and over. But in many cases, the changes progress rapidly, affecting confidence, independence, and relationships. So, what can you do if you, or someone you care about, is currently using a bladder control medication like oxybutynin or tolterodine? The first step is awareness. Don't stop taking the medication suddenly, but speak with your doctor about alternatives. For many older adults, simple non-drug strategies can make a powerful difference. Pelvic floor physical therapy, for example, helps strengthen the muscles involved in bladder control. Scheduling bathroom trips and adjusting fluid intake can also reduce urgency and accidents without relying solely on medication. And if medication is still needed, there are newer options with lower anticholinergic impact that may provide relief with less risk to your brain. Dr. Matthews emphasizes that protecting cognitive function while managing physical symptoms is entirely possible. But it takes a holistic health approach that values both the body and the mind. Here's a thought. When was the last time your bladder medication was reviewed by your doctor or pharmacist? If it's been a while, this might be the right moment to bring it up. Because managing incontinence shouldn't mean sacrificing memory, relationships, or confidence. And if you're looking to strengthen your body in gentle, practical ways, consider exploring exercises for seniors that support balance, coordination, and yes, even pelvic strength. Movement isn't just good for your joints, it's good for your brain. Have you or someone you love experienced brain fog or forgetfulness after starting bladder medication? Share your experience in the comments. Your story could encourage someone else to ask the right questions. And if you're finding this series helpful, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. We're building a community focused on senior wellness, where health is viewed not in parts, but as a whole. Coming up next, a category of medications often prescribed for anxiety, but which may leave you feeling more disconnected than calm. Let's talk about benzodiazepines and the hidden effects they may have on memory. When we think about medications that affect the brain, most people picture sedatives or sleeping pills. But what if the pill you take to calm your nerves or ease anxiety is slowly clouding your ability to think clearly? That's what happened to Nancy's husband, Richard. A retired high school teacher in his 70s, Richard had always been articulate, thoughtful, and calm under pressure. After a mild panic episode during travel, his doctor prescribed a low dose of Xanax to help with anxiety. It worked well, for a while, but a few months in, Nancy began noticing changes. Richard was quieter. He often lost his train of thought mid-sentence, and at times he seemed to drift away entirely during conversations. It was like talking to someone underwater, she recalls. He was there, but he wasn't fully present. Dr. Elaine Matthews explains, benzodiazepines, medications like Xanax, Ativan, and Valium, work by slowing down brain activity. They enhance the effects of GABA, a neurotransmitter that calms the nervous system. While this can be effective in the short term, especially during acute anxiety or panic, the long-term effects can be quite different. Over time, consistent use of benzodiazepines may inhibit the brain's ability to process and store new memories. A major study published in the British Medical Journal found that people who used these medications for more than 3 months had a significantly higher risk of developing Alzheimer's disease. The longer and stronger the use, the greater the risk. The symptoms aren't always obvious at first. Some describe it as mental fog or difficulty staying focused in conversation. Others, like Richard, find themselves withdrawing socially, unsure why they feel so disconnected. It's important to understand that this isn't aging. It's the medication interacting with an aging brain. So what can be done? The first and most important rule: never stop benzodiazepines abruptly. Sudden discontinuation can cause withdrawal symptoms that are both uncomfortable and in some cases dangerous. If you or someone you love is currently using one of these medications and concerned about memory or clarity, the best next step is a compassionate, informed conversation with your doctor. Dr. Matthews often recommends a gradual reduction plan under medical supervision, combined with non-drug strategies like cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, deep breathing techniques, and guided mindfulness. These tools not only help manage anxiety, she says, but also build long-term resilience without suppressing cognitive function. And here's something to consider. Have you or someone in your family ever noticed mental fog or forgetfulness while taking anti-anxiety medication? We'd love to hear your experience in the comments. Your story might resonate with others who are silently wondering the same thing. If this content has helped you reflect or learn something new, please give this video a like. It really does help more seniors and caregivers find information that matters. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing. We're building a warm, supportive space focused on senior wellness, where your health story matters and your voice is always welcome. Coming up next, we'll look at a common class of medications used for heartburn and acid reflux, but that might be quietly interfering with your brain's nutritional health. Let's talk about proton pump inhibitors. Anxiety medications aren't the only ones quietly affecting how the brain functions. Sometimes the medications we take for something as common as heartburn can have surprising effects, especially when used long-term. Take June, for example. She's 75, a retired librarian, and someone who's always loved words. Crossword puzzles were her daily ritual. She could quote poems from memory and finish your sentences for you. But after years of taking a little purple pill each morning to ease her acid reflux, June began having trouble finding the right words. Simple nouns slipped away. Conversations felt frustrating. Her friends gently asked if she was tired, but she wasn't tired. She was confused, and she knew it. June had been on a class of medications known as proton pump inhibitors, or PPIs, drugs like Nexium, Prilosec, and Prevacid. They're widely used to treat acid reflux, GERD, and stomach ulcers by reducing stomach acid, and for short-term use, they can be incredibly effective. But the problem arises when they're used for years without monitoring. Dr. Elaine Matthews explains, PPIs reduce stomach acid, which is necessary not just for digestion but also for absorbing essential nutrients, especially vitamin B12 and magnesium. When those levels drop, the nervous system can suffer. That's when symptoms like brain fog, fatigue, tingling in the hands and feet, or memory issues begin to appear. A large-scale German study involving more than 73,000 older adults found that regular, long-term PPI use was associated with a 44% increased risk of dementia. While the link isn't yet fully understood, many researchers believe that the nutrient deficiencies caused by acid suppression play a central role. If you've been taking a PPI for several months or even years, what should you do? First, don't panic. For people with serious reflux or conditions like Barrett's esophagus, these medications may still be necessary, but it's worth having a conversation with your doctor about strategies like using the lowest effective dose, trying a drug holiday, a break from the medication under supervision, or switching to H2 blockers like famotidine, Pep-CD, which are gentler on nutrient absorption. Most importantly, ask your provider to check your B12 and magnesium levels, especially if you've noticed symptoms like confusion, weakness, or numbness. Often a simple supplement can make a big difference, not just for your body, but for your mind. And let's remember, treating one issue shouldn't come at the cost of another. That's why embracing a holistic health perspective is so important, especially in senior care. The more we understand how everything is connected, gut, brain, sleep, mobility, the more empowered we become to take charge of our senior wellness. Have you or a loved one been on heartburn medication for a while? Have you ever connected that with changes in mood or memory? We'd love to hear your experience in the comments. It could be the exact encouragement someone else needs today. And if this video has helped you see things differently, go ahead and give it a like. It helps more seniors and caregivers find this kind of practical, trustworthy information. If you haven't subscribed yet, now's a great time to join our growing community. We're here every week with new videos focused on senior health, gentle guidance, and science-backed strategies to help you feel your best. Next up, we'll explore a category of medications used for bladder control, something that many seniors struggle with quietly, but few ever talk about. You might be surprised how strongly they affect the brain. Memory loss can sometimes feel like a slow fade, small things, little lapses, and in some cases, the cause might not be aging itself, but rather the medications we take to protect other parts of our body. One surprising example? Statins, the widely used drugs for lowering cholesterol. Ron, 67, was a retired accountant who had always prided himself on numbers. But after several months on simvastatin to manage his cholesterol, something felt off. He found himself pausing during simple calculations, losing track while paying bills, and struggling to recall familiar figures. It wasn't alarming at first, just a nagging sense that his mind wasn't as sharp as before. It wasn't until his doctor suggested switching to a different statin that the fog began to lift. Dr. Elaine Matthews explains, some statins, particularly fat-soluble types like simvastatin and atorvastatin, can cross the blood-brain barrier more easily. In some individuals, this may interfere with brain cell function, leading to symptoms like mental cloudiness, forgetfulness, or slowed thinking. The evidence, while still being studied, is compelling. In one clinical report, 75% of patients who experienced memory issues while on statins saw improvement after stopping or switching to a different formulation. Not everyone will experience side effects, but for those who do, the difference can be dramatic. So what can you do if you're on a statin and starting to notice some cognitive changes? Don't stop the medication on your own, especially if you're at high risk for heart disease. Instead, have a thoughtful conversation with your doctor. Water-soluble statins, such as pravastatin or rosuvastatin, tend to stay out of the brain and may be better tolerated by those sensitive to cognitive effects. Additionally, some experts recommend adding a CoQ10 supplement, since statins can reduce levels of this compound that supports energy production in both muscles and brain cells. It's all about balance, managing heart health while also protecting memory. And that's the beauty of personalized care. One small adjustment can mean clearer thinking, better energy, and a stronger sense of self. Have you or someone you know noticed brain fog while taking a statin? We'd love to hear your story in the comments. It may help others feel seen and supported. If this video has been helpful, give it a like to let us know, and consider subscribing for more senior health tips grounded in science and guided by compassion. Up next, we'll talk about a class of antidepressants often used for more than just mood, and how they might affect memory in ways most people don't expect. Some of the most difficult moments in caregiving happen when a loved one with dementia becomes agitated, confused, or even aggressive. It's heartbreaking, and often families look to doctors for help in calming the situation. But sometimes, the medication meant to soothe can quietly take something else away. Tom's father, Henry, was 85 when he entered a memory care facility. He was having trouble recognizing people, but still smiled when he heard old songs and held his wife's hand with warmth. After a few restless nights and bouts of agitation, the facility started him on an antipsychotic, something to help him settle. Within days, Henry became quiet, too quiet. His eyes seemed vacant. He stopped speaking, stopped reacting. Tom described it as losing the last pieces of him overnight. And medications like Risperdal, Seroquel, and Zyprexa are sometimes prescribed to manage challenging behaviors in dementia patients, even though they are not approved by the FDA for this use. In fact, these medications carry a black box warning, the FDA's most serious alert, indicating that use in elderly patients with dementia can increase the risk of death. Dr. Elaine Matthews explains, antipsychotics work by blocking dopamine and other brain chemicals involved in emotion and behavior. While that can reduce agitation or aggression in the short term, it often comes with a cost: sedation, loss of personality, and faster cognitive decline. Several studies have confirmed that these medications can lead to a greater risk of stroke, profound drowsiness, and even earlier death, particularly when used long-term or without regular reassessment. So what are the alternatives? In many cases, behaviors like wandering, restlessness, or verbal outbursts are responses to unmet needs, pain, fear, overstimulation, or confusion. Non-drug approaches, like simplifying the environment, providing comforting routines, using music, or offering gentle touch, can make a significant difference. When medication is truly necessary, it should be used at the lowest dose for the shortest possible time and under careful monitoring. If someone you love is on an antipsychotic and you've noticed they've become less engaged, less like themselves, trust your instincts. Ask questions, speak with their care team. Compassionate care means preserving not just safety, but also dignity and presence. Have you ever witnessed a sudden change in a loved one after starting a new medication? Share your experience in the comments. Your voice could help another family feel seen and supported. If this video has helped you in any way, please consider giving it a like. It helps us reach more families who are facing these hard decisions. And if you haven't already, subscribe to join our community where we talk openly and respectfully about senior health, brain care, and aging with grace and awareness. Coming up next, a closer look at how certain antidepressants, especially older ones, might be quietly interfering with memory. For some, the fix is easier than they think. Some medications were never originally meant to affect memory, but in certain cases, they do. One class that often surprises people: tricyclic antidepressants. While they've been around for decades and are sometimes prescribed for chronic pain, insomnia, or migraines, not just depression, they can quietly interfere with the brain's ability to think clearly over time. Take Patricia, for instance. At 71, she was managing arthritis pain and sleep issues fairly well, thanks to a low-dose amitriptyline her doctor had prescribed years ago. But gradually, she began forgetting appointments, repeating questions, and even getting turned around while driving in familiar neighborhoods. Her family was concerned, but so was she. Dr. Elaine Matthews explains, tricyclic antidepressants like amitriptyline, nortriptyline, and doxepin have strong anticholinergic properties, which means they block acetylcholine, a key brain chemical involved in learning, memory, and focus. This effect can be particularly troubling for older adults, whose levels of acetylcholine are already declining due to age. In fact, a study published in JAMA Internal Medicine found a dose-dependent link between long-term use of anticholinergic medications and an increased risk of dementia. The higher the dose and the longer the use, the greater the risk. What makes this tricky is that many seniors are prescribed tricyclics not for depression, but for things like nerve pain, sleep, or migraines, and often no one ever explains the possible cognitive side effects. If you're currently taking a tricyclic antidepressant and noticing changes in memory or mental sharpness, don't panic, and don't stop the medication suddenly. These medications need to be tapered gradually and only under your doctor's guidance. The good news is there are newer antidepressants that are just as effective for mood and pain, but with much lower anticholinergic effects. Medications like SSRIs, such as sertraline or citalopram, or SNRIs, may be better tolerated and safer for long-term brain health. Some people also benefit from gentle therapies like CBT for insomnia, or non-drug pain management techniques such as light stretching, warm baths, or mindfulness, a more holistic health approach. As Dr. Matthews puts it, the goal isn't to eliminate treatment, it's to find the approach that protects both your emotional well-being and your mental clarity. Have you or a loved one ever been prescribed amitriptyline or a similar medication? Did you notice any changes in thinking or memory afterward? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Sharing your story may help others recognize something they hadn't connected before. After everything we've covered, you might be wondering, what now? What can I do today to protect my memory and support my brain? The good news is you don't have to overhaul your entire life to make a difference. Sometimes, just one thoughtful step at a time can change the direction of your health journey. So here are 2 powerful places to start. Step 1. Review your medications. This may sound simple, but it could be the most important thing you do this year for your brain. Take a few quiet minutes. Look over the list of prescriptions, over-the-counter pills, even sleep aids or allergy meds you use regularly. Then, ask this question out loud or write it down to bring to your next appointment. Could any of these be affecting my memory? You don't have to figure it out alone. Ask your doctor or pharmacist for a medication review, a time just to talk about how each drug may interact with your aging brain. This is not about blame, it's about clarity, safety, and giving your brain the care it truly deserves. Step 2. Nourish your brain through lifestyle. Your brain isn't just a machine to be fixed. It's a living, breathing part of you, shaped daily by what you eat, how you move, how you sleep, and who you connect with. Start with food. Add a handful of blueberries to your breakfast. Toss some spinach into your lunch. Grill salmon for dinner. These aren't just healthy choices. They're brain-supporting rituals backed by real science. Then move gently, consistently. A 15-minute walk, a few balance exercises, even light stretching while your favorite music plays. Movement helps blood reach the brain. It clears mental fog. It lifts your mood. And don't forget your mind needs stimulation too. Solve a puzzle. Call a friend. Listen to a beautiful piece of music and really let yourself feel it. These moments aren't trivial. They're medicine for the mind. Finally, protect your rest. A calm bedtime, a darkened room, deep breaths. These small habits give your brain the space to heal, process, and restore. Because at the end of the day, you are not just treating symptoms. You are helping your brain thrive. You are choosing a future with more clarity, more connection, more you. Cognitive health is just as important as heart health or bone strength. Yet so often, it's the last thing we talk about and the first thing we blame on just getting older. But here's the truth. Your memory matters. Your stories matter. Your presence matters. Let's protect that together. Have you ever experienced memory issues while taking one of the medications we talked about today? Leave a comment below. We're listening. Your experience could help someone else feel seen and supported. If you found this video helpful, give it a like. It's a small click, but it helps others like you find this information. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing. Golden Wise Elders channel is a space for thoughtful conversations on senior wellness, built on science, trust, and care. And most importantly, if there's someone in your life who needs to hear this, someone caring for a parent, a spouse, or even themselves, share this video with them. You never know the difference it could make. We're here with you, one step at a time. And your brain, it's worth protecting.